Red Sox, as I mentioned earlier, Red Sox had dragged me back in. It was not that long ago that they swept the New York Yankees. And I and many others were very excited, and now I am out. This is a series in which you're playing an inferior team and should be able to win the series, should be able to win a game in the series, and you are unable to do so. So we will talk to Craig Breslow about that coming up. This is Bob from Warwick, Rhode Island. Hello, Bob.
Hello, Greg.
What's up?
First of all, I want to let you know that I hate the Red Sox.
Oh. Okay.
All right.
Yep. Any team that beats the Red Sox is number one in my book.
Okay.
Including and definitely the Yankees.
Okay, so you're a Yankees fan?
All right.
Well, I really hate the Red Sox. I don't care who beats them. So, in other words, Cora's pathetic. He won the World Series in 2018. Anybody could have won.
Okay.
He won the World Series in 2018. Anybody could have won that with that team.
Right.
Cora's pathetic. His brother, Joey Cora, is 10 times the ball player that Cora ever thought of being.
Okay.
John Henry never should have signed him to a 3-year contract last year. He's not going to quit. He doesn't give a damn. He's going to get paid if he doesn't resign for the next year and a half.
Well,
but I'm glad about that because I'm glad about that. What was that, Curtis?
Nobody said he's going to quit.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously he wouldn't quit.
I don't think you can assume that Alex Cora wants to be here going forward, based on his argument may be that they haven't given him the guys to win with, and
he can't do that now. He can't do that no more. Like that narrative went out the window this year. Like you gave him everything you asked for. You had Bregman. You got your hog of a pitcher. Like you've done everything that we were asking you to do before the season.
Oink, oink.
And I don't think that's an excuse now where you could be like, because before Bregman got hurt, you stunk. Before you traded Devers, you stunk. Like so, before Cassis got hurt, you stunk. So
well, you didn't necessarily. You were getting back into it before you traded Devers. Like
you had a little stretch where you went on that stretch. You won 7 of 10 games or whatever the hell it was.
You swept the Yankees at home. Fenway was going nuts.
Right, but that was
Devers hit a dinger that game.
But that wasn't who you were. Like
no, I'm not excusing anything. It's just the decision to trade Devers when they did had everything to do with Devers getting to a point where a team was comfortable eating the entire contract. That's why it was done then, because otherwise there is no rush. You want to see what Bregman is in some capacity, at least see him in Worcester on the way back to the field if you actually still thought this was a season you would contend in.
Well, I agree. Go ahead.
The hardest part is that you'll never know what they could have been because they did hit a hot streak right then. Then they trade them and things fall off. And yes, they won, 2 games after Raffy left and everybody, that's when Greg got dragged back in.
You won a series.
But you won a series. But at the same time, the time in which they traded him. Yep. There was right before that, and then after. And after they got way, way worse.
Right,
and
but
that's
you
why
stunk before that.
But they seemed like they had figured it out. Seemed like maybe they had squashed any beef that was in that clubhouse, that maybe Raffy was, figuring out his spot on that team, and they had figured it out, and that guys were starting to play their full potential, the ones that they had that were healthy. And after, you fall back off again. So who knows if they don't trade Raffy at that point, if they could have kept that momentum going.
See, I think they knew, and this is why we talked about it, like they knew the team that they are. I think, who was it that said it? Was it Dennis Green, the legendary football coach who said, we are who we thought we are, something along those lines.
We are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
Right, yeah. So like I think before the trade, they knew they were a below 500 baseball club. And I think after the trade, they know they're a below 500 baseball club.
I think it's the opposite. I think they thought they overachieved to that point, that Devers was hurting the development of the young players, and that absent Devers, the lineup flexibility they would have, the ability to add more at the deadline because they would have the cash left over, they could be a better team. I think they thought that.
If you want to crown them, then crown their ass. But they are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
I mean, I think looking back at the offseason, and this is on Craig Breslow, I believe, not on Alex Cora, you thought that the moves they made we all thought, would significantly improve the baseball team.
Mm-hmm.
And, Garrett Crochet, great move. Can't say anything about it. Bregman, I thought, was a great move. I think it remains one. You didn't know he was going to be hurt, and now he's not going to be back until after the All-Star break. So
you can say both Breslow and Cora had good offseason moves.
But Walker Buehler, that's been a miserable failure.
Right.
Guys that you thought from a bullpen perspective, whether it was getting Liam Hendricks back or
Chapman's been good. He's like your only.
Chapman is
A+.
is an A+ move,
right.
and that is Craig Breslow.
But here's who they were before the first Yankee series where they won that series. They had just lost the series to the Angels, and they were 30-34. Then they went on that little bit of that run where they won the series against the Yankees, and then they won the series against the Rays, and then the sweep, and then Seattle. But I think that they're coming back down to earth on what this team is, and that's your starting pitcher. Other than Crochet, you don't know what you're going to get. You might get some games where you get a bunch of runs. You might get some games where you get 2 runs. Like, this is who you are, and I think that they realize that. And I agree with you, Curtis. They probably could have waited to trade Devers, but I think they got to the point where they were like, you know what? We might as well just rip the Band-Aid off.
He didn't text Poppy back.
For whatever reason.
But don't you think that there could be a momentum shift in the what they could have gained from that Yankees series was completely thrown off because then they were getting asked about Rafael Devers once again.
So then what happened after the Seattle Mariners series where they won that series and then they played
the Giants and Raffy Devers?
Right. So what was the thing that changed that you lost whatever the momentum was from the Seattle series to the Giants series and then now to where you are?
Well, I think the clubhouse got bad again. I think they're
well,
all.
You can't have it both ways. Like, you can't say the clubhouse needed to remove Devers and everybody was feeling great, and then they hit a little bit of a patch and said, "Oh, the reason why they hit this patch is because."
Well, I don't think that Raffy was a issue in the clubhouse. I'm never going to believe that. That's never going to be something that I believe. I don't think that he had any impact on the younger players. I don't think anybody cared that he was, fighting with the front office. I truly don't believe that.
So I guess the question is then, do you believe trading Devers affected this team negatively,
yes.
which is leading them to this slump?
You think it did mentally or baseball-wise?
Both. They got worse on the field, and then they also, all these players then had to be asked about, can you believe that they traded Rafael Devers, and they're getting asked about it over and over again once again.
I mean, they're Major League Baseball players like the
So then why would Rafael Devers hurt them in the first place?
Well, the 978 text, which says he was protecting, you have Devers in that lineup, and he's protecting everybody else when it comes to hitting. And I'm sorry, you're playing Major League Baseball. Hit the baseball.
So then you don't think that Raffy hurt the younger players or hurt anything in the clubhouse because they're Major League players and they're not affected?
Yeah, I think maybe mentally, my issue with him was he was not a team guy, and eventually, when you have all your eggs in one basket, 30 million of them, you're going to have a problem with a guy who's not willing to help out here or there. But
how? I don't get that. Okay, so he's not willing to help out here or there, but now you have lots of roster flexibility to play a bunch of guys that can't hit their weight. But to trade Devers at that point is it's just so dumb on its face that people defended it. You finally get it turned around. You sweep the Yankees at home. People are like, wow, we have a season now. And then it's trade Devers because He won't acquiesce, and he and Breslow, it's untenable with the front office. He's not texting David Ortiz. And now you're sitting here, we're about to hit July. I just got an email from the Red Sox promoting ticket sales over the weekend. You can get 12 seats together anywhere in the park on a gorgeous weekend before 4th of July, and you ended your season before the trade deadline. Well, that's what they did. They quit.
I thought the thing was, by him not being a team player, you couldn't have roster flexibility. You couldn't do things that you wanted to do. That's what everybody was
and now you have that
screaming down my face about that when I was like, just leave him at the – no, you can't do this if you leave him. And so what they did is they must have got to a point where they could not deal with him not being a team player.
This is Art from Walpole. What's up, Art?
Hey, guys. I think we're overlooking the obvious with the Red Sox failure this year so far. Tristan Casas was supposed to be a massive piece of this team. Gone. Bregman gets hurt prime time during the beginning of the season. Gone. The saviors, Roman Anthony, the can't-miss rookie, has been a disaster. Mayer has been Metza. So nothing has gone really right with those four pieces. And Campbell has been ended up being a real bad situation too. The other rookie. So guys, it's been a real it's a bunch of bad things, bad luck with injuries, and the rookies have let them down massively. I think they were counting on some of these rookies to be vital rejuvenation pieces when everything else happened. Nothing has gone right in that regard.
So are you willing to accept that as an excuse, the injury excuse?
Absolutely. A very significant part. I mean, Casas was supposed to be a big part, Greg.
Yeah.
A big part. And then Bregman, your best all-around player, has been hurt the last 5-6 weeks. I think that's a big problem.
Yeah, and Art, Giancarlo Stanton's out, and the Yankees' best pitcher, Garrett Cole's out for the year. How are they doing?
Well, so listen, I'm not saying there aren't other problems, but
every team has injuries. This team sucks because they're poorly put together.
Yeah, well, possibly, but those injuries have been a massive contributor to problems.
But who could have foreseen Tristan Casas, who was basically built the house in Worcester? How you would rely on him for an entire season is on you.
Right.
He's not exactly Cal Ripken Jr. out there.
Because prior to this year, he only played in how many games last year?
Why do we give this ownership excuses? Why?
He only played in so many games because he refused to come back from his nagging
rib injury, whatever the hell it was.
That felt like he was being stabbed.
So, I mean, yeah.
I have to put it, like I said, I have to put it on the players' plate and Alex Cora's plate. The front office ownership group, you can argue, you can be upset about trading Devers when they traded him. They could have held on to him, whatever. You can get me to agree on that point, but you can't tell me going into the season they didn't do everything that we wanted them to do. They did that, and you as a manager weren't able to get the best out of the guys that they gave you.